I don't know if you saw this, but I guess the Pittsburgh Penguins are open for business. Lars Eller was traded. It's sort of intriguing. Two franchises entering the season we thought were in the same sort of predicament, and one's buying, one's definitively selling. Lars Eller back to Washington. But I wanted to ask you, do you think Pittsburgh and Toronto are ideal fits? We talk about this a lot with Calgary. It's tough for Brad Treliving maybe to trade with that team. You'd have to feel it's probably the same way for Kyle Dubas now with the Pittsburgh Penguins headmanning that operation. But I look at that roster, I'm like, I really don't see a fit. There's some players who could make sense, but on paper, I'm not crazy about it. How about you?
Yeah, I think the first problem, is Dubas and Treliving working together is kind of difficult just based on the history. Wouldn't be their first choices to go and really hammer something out with each other, I wouldn't imagine. Also, I mean, who are we talking about here? Are we talking about a Carlson or a Malkin or something? You're not getting those guys on your roster. You're not fitting those contracts in. I'm not even sure they'd be the guys to fit. Carlson's kind of tapering off. You mentioned to me before the show started his for the Four Nations Cup, his coach is like, I regret picking him almost. That's where he's at. So are you scrambling to grab a guy like that at this point in time and put him in the market of Toronto? I don't see a lot of fits. Lars Eller probably could have been one and been that centerman that we could have used. That ship has sailed. So, I mean, I just don't think there's a whole lot there.
Yeah, there isn't. There's not many fits. It's weird to say because I'm really happy and impressed with Toronto's blue line. Like if you were to ask me like a year ago, I'd say hell yeah to Erik Karlsson if it made sense. Right now, no. He stinks defensively. I think the only way I would like him is running the first power play unit. I think they've needed a right-handed shooting guy for a long period of time, but the fit just not there. A, considering how much he makes, and B, even if you cut like 50% and retain on a deal, I don't see a fit. Up front, maybe your boy Michael Bunting, but I think a guy like Bunting is going to be hard for the Pens to trade to anybody, never mind the Toronto Maple Leafs, Evgeni Malkin. Like these guys got trade protection too, because if you missed it, aside from Crosby, reports came out yesterday that Pittsburgh is open to listening. It's going to be, I mean, if you recall a couple of years back, even Toronto trying to trade, and it was Kyle Dubas again trying to trade Patrick Marleau's contract, had to give up a first that ended up being a pretty damn good player in Carolina to get rid of that contract a couple years ago. It's going to be tough business to put together.
Well, that's the thing. We're talking about who we like to add, and we're kind of hitting a dead end right away as soon as you start talking about it. We haven't even talked about who do you give up to get anybody of value, and I don't think they're in a great spot to get a deal done. And I've said it before, this day and age in NHL, the trade market, it's just tough to put together a blockbuster for those reasons with the cap. It's not just like the old school, well, I'll throw this guy in and that guy, and it doesn't really matter. And say back in the 90s, the Rangers and the Flyers are just trying to make something work. They can just throw all kinds of stuff together and you got a blockbuster. But nowadays, these contracts and the trade protection, salary cap, it's just difficult to do. I just don't see it happening anytime soon with those type of players with that organization for a plethora of reasons. I think there's going to be something maybe come out of left field that gets snuck by if there's a deal done that's not as earth-shattering as we're talking about here.
Yeah, by the way, that guy in Carolina that made the first-round pick was Seth Jarvis, who has turned into a pretty damn good NHLer, and that's what the Maple Leafs had to give up to get rid of the contract of Patrick Marleau, which didn't make sense to begin with. But I think just to troll Pittsburgh, I'd be like, we want Crosby, just to see their reaction and to piss off Dubas, quite frankly. But like Evgeni Malkin on paper in a dream world, I think would make a bit of sense. I love where his game's at this season. He is declining. He is approaching the age of 40, but it's not a lengthy contract. I think he's in year 2 of a 3-year deal right now. But you're right. You hit the nail on the head. It's about return, what Pittsburgh wants, and then you add in the sort of caveat in the conversation that it's Kyle Dubas' former team. But man, I tell you, that team is in a mess right now. Imagine 3 months ago, Sidney Crosby, even less than that, was signing an extension. It's been a horrible start. They can't get a save. They can't play defense. They can't score goals. Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long-form interviews. We got clips. We got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.